You ever seen a rose bloom through the cracks of the concrete before? I have, when I looked in the mirror. What's up?
Yeah, y'all should check him out. He got good energy.
Crazy work. Crazy work.
They style is regular.
I can ask
Beeson. They got it. Oh, Beeson definitely got it. You got his number? I gave him crazy work. Listen, crazy work. Crazy work.
You know, I had to take some time away. I had to, take a hiatus. I had to really do some self-reflection, some growth on my part, figuring out who I am and what I want to do as far as this entrepreneurship thing goes. And I hate calling it an entrepreneurship thing because it really is who I am. It's like it's in my DNA. I had to take some time away to experience my experiences so that I can share my experiences with you. I've been in conversations with people and they'll see me pull my phone out to Google. They might not know that's what I'm doing. I'm Googling things. I'm fact checking sometimes, especially if I'm in a deep conversation. A conversation that includes facts, because I'm a fan of facts. And don't take it personal if you see me Googling. It's not necessarily that I don't believe you. It's that I don't believe anybody. I don't believe anybody, right? I don't even say you should believe me. Like, whenever I say something, I encourage you to go back and fact check me. So don't take it personally. Don't take it personal. I do fact check people. I'm a fan of definitions. So who do I believe? I tend to believe Merriam-Webster, right? And so if we're having a deep conversation, especially if it's a philosophical one, or if it's a any type of conversation that has to do with maybe laws, politics, religious views, any of that stuff, I tend to Google search shit, right? And I'll look at definitions. Words are powerful. Definitions are powerful, right? So what I do is I look at Merriam-Webster. I say, hey, Merriam-Webster, what does this word mean? And then I look at that word and definition, and then I place that puzzle piece into that conversation to make it make sense for me. So it's nothing against you per se. It's me. I need to understand what we're talking about. So if you ask me a question and I Google something to see, or if I look for the definition, it's not you. I'm trying to answer your question the best way I can based on those little things called facts. I'm a firm believer that words are powerful. Words hold a lot of weight. And so when I write poetry, when I do affirmations, when I look at history and the future, when I bridge that gap between history and the present and the future, words play an important role. I went to the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, Alabama a couple months ago. And that was a life-altering experience in terms of perspective. So like, for a long time, like I was born in the 80s.
Damn.
So I grew up in the 80s and 90s. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing now, especially in the way of race relations, when we see injustices and things of that nature, a lot of that is not new to me. A lot of it feels and seems like a rerun to me. And so I can only imagine how it feels and seems to people who are my elder, right? So for someone that was born in like 2000, it all seems new to you. There's nothing new under the sun, right? But to you, to the average person, who was born, those 2000s babies, it may seem new to you. But I'm here as the resident old head, I guess, to tell you it's not new. It's not. And so when we look at definitions and we look at perspective and we look at and try to understand the world around us as it is now, we have to understand that it's a byproduct of how things were then. So certain things are set in motion then, which play out now. So when I talk about race relations, I never want anybody to get it twisted and think that I am oblivious to the fact that we have made headway. That does not mean that I'm gonna stop speaking on it and calling out the bullshit when I see it, because silence equals compliance. So if you see something, say something. We say that all the time, but somehow we fall short because we get uncomfortable a little bit when it comes to race relations. And it took a minute for me to understand that I cannot walk on eggshells when I'm talking about this, because otherwise we won't have the tangible change that we want to see. Like, I want to see it in my lifetime, even though I know that it's going to take a while. I and we have to do everything that we can in order to make it happen, right? Like, we have to have those uncomfortable conversations. Respectfully. We have to have those uncomfortable conversations respectfully. So, like, with my 16-year-old, I often engage him in conversations with current events, right? Just to see how the teenage mind digests the things that are happening. And so it's interesting to me because, when I asked him about the situation where the old white guy shot the young man, his name escapes me, but I'll post it right here. When he shot him for approaching his home and ringing the doorbell when he went to the wrong house, right? The young man went to the wrong house. The old man felt he was a threat and shot him, right? Twice. So I asked my son, like, what do you think about that situation? Like, what do you think about that man? And his response was, oh, I think that old man got mental issues.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And so I had to think about it again. I told you, I go to my Googles and I think about mental issues. I think about that. I think about mental issues. And then I think about it on a macro level. And I remember all the times growing up that I saw a white man commit an atrocity, right, against a black man or woman or whatever, like race related. And they get tagged with the mental issues tag so quick. Or lone wolf. Lone wolf to me means crazy equals mental issues, right? They always get tagged with the mental issues. So I asked him, I said, okay, so you think he had mental issues? Okay, what makes you think that? And I'm not expecting much from his 16-year-old brain to give, because he's just got here. He doesn't understand. He just got here. So this is all new to him. He doesn't know the historical, significance of what happened, what he saw. And so, long story short, he thought it was mental issues. I said, okay, so if now let's say it's a black guy that shoots another black guy in the streets of, like Fox News like to say, Chicago. Let's say Chicago, or any of your famous hoods anywhere, right? Black man shoots black man. What would you say was the cause of it? Would you say the perpetrator had mental issues, or should he have known better and he's just an evil person? And he said, I'm gonna let you guess. Guess what he said? Guess what he said? If you said B, you were correct. He said that man was evil and he should know better. So why can't he get the mental tag? Why can't he get the mentally disturbed tag? Why is it that when a black man commits an atrocity, evil should know better. When a white man commits an atrocity, mental issues. And I'm not saying it's always the case. I'm just saying, look at how this plays out. And I remember seeing something back in the day about how the media systematically portrayed black people as criminal. And so this goes back to my trip to the Legacy Museum in Montgomery, Alabama, which I encourage everybody to go if you can. I feel ashamed that I haven't been to the joint in DC yet, the African American Museum in DC yet, and I live literally 30 minutes from DC. So what was I at? Okay, Legacy Museum. Eye-opening experience. One of the hallways is for incarceration. It shows the history of incarceration for Africans in America and how we're incarcerated for a lot of the crime. What stood out to me was the reason for the incarceration. And a lot of it was the thing that stood out to me a lot, and you can't see it on what I'm going to show on the depiction because we weren't allowed to take pictures in there, but I got these pictures from Google. I told you I like Google. So a lot of what it said was rebellious, rebellious. You know, he was rebellious, so now he's locked up for being rebellious. Now, if you do your Google search, go to Merriam-Webster, look up the definition for rebellious. I want you to do that real quick. I'll even show it on the screen, but I want you to do it because I want everybody to get in the habit of doing that. Like, rebellious. And so when we see the definition of that word rebellious, we understand that the powers that be, you know, the way the power dynamic and the power structure was and is, but was heavily in that time period, you can pretty much say anything is rebellious, right? They do it now. You're rebellious when they say you're resisting arrest, when they're, you know, hog tying you and saying you're resisting. How am I resisting and you're hog tying me, bro? How am I resisting and you're putting pressure on my back and I'm in pain and and you're saying stop resisting? I'm like, I'm not resisting. I'm just in pain because this shit hurt. But anyway, rebellious. They like them R words, resisting, rebellious. Rebelliousness, right? Rebelliousness. Being rebellious. That stood out to me. If you ever get a chance to go to the Legacy Museum, watch how that word, if you actually read the walls, rebellious. And so that stuck out to me. That really struck a nerve with me. And it made me think about the Africans that were in Africa and forcefully put on ships and brought to a foreign land and endured what could only be imagined as the worst of the worst treatment ever for a human being, because we weren't seen as human beings, but enduring the worst of the worst treatment. And then once placed in confinement, aka slavery, right? When we had rebellions, because we did have rebellions, right? That word, there's that word again, rebellions, rebellious, right? So we're rebellious. So from then, anytime you buck the system, you're rebellious. And we gotta lock you up. We gotta lock you up for that. And so I take that to heart. Like, I have a shirt that I made because I feel like, I can't say for sure, right? Because you know we always like to play Monday morning quarterback. We like to play Monday morning quarterback. I'm good for doing that too, because I could always say like what I would have done in the situation, which I actually don't know what I would have done if I was in that situation. But when they had whites only water fountains, anybody that knows me knows I probably would have gotten locked up. There's a 97% chance I would have gotten locked up. Why? For being rebellious. Because I would have, if I was thirsty, the level of petty I be on sometimes, I would have walked over to one of those white only water fountains. I would have leaned down slowly, pressed a little button, and taken a cool sip from that white only water fountain. And did like that at the end of my sip. Yeah, that would have been me. 97% chance that would have been me. So, because just that's the type of petty I'd be on. And that's the type of rebelliousness I would have been on. I'm not rebellious just for the sake of being rebellious. I'm rebellious with a purpose, right? If the purpose is the betterment of people, count me in. 10 out of 10, count me in. So I think I would have done it. It would have been, and that's why I made that shirt. It wasn't to disrespect the originator of the picture. I want to give him his credit now, give him his flowers. Segue into flowers and definitions. See how I brought it all around full circle? So I just say I'm giving him his flowers, and and I was talking about definitions and Googling definitions earlier and how words are important and powerful. I use the power of words to empower us. Self-perspective brings about the changes, the tangible change that we want to see in our lives. Self-perspective has power. I'm telling you, self-perspective has power. So how you view yourself plays a large part in who you can become, right? What you can accomplish or what you feel you can accomplish, because it gives you some type of idea of your worthiness, right? It plays a part in you feeling how worthy you are, right? If you feel like you are worthy of this, and you affirm that, and you have affirmations, and if you know what you're worth, you go out and get what you're worth. Ain't that what Rocky said? If you know what you're worth, go out and get what you're worth, right? And that's what we do. We affirm that. We give our affirmations. So speaking positivity into us can empower us to do the unthinkable, the unimaginable. And so that's what I do. I sell healing. No bad energy reminds you and others that you're protecting your peace. No bad energy around me. Please and thank you. Flowers. Let me tuck in my chain like Debo coming. All right, so you can see this, because I really want y'all to understand that what I do is all purposeful. It's all purposeful. So we're gonna explain this. So the definition, when you look at Merriam-Webster, it is formatted just like that, without the flower, of course, but flowers with the definition. That's the definition, right? And like I said before, when you know the definition of the word, you can attach it properly. You can use it properly. You can identify it properly. So now I have the verb, then I have the noun of the word, right? The verb, be in or reach an optimum stage of development, develop fully and richly, right? That can apply to us as people, right? That's what a flower is. So that's what that's what you strive to become, right? And then here we go. The noun, the finest of individuals out of a number of people or things. So now here we are reminding ourselves of who we are. We need that. Because historically, people have told us that we're not even a human being. So what type of psychological effect do you think that's had on generations before us and us? If we were never taught that we were anything more than a slave, like our existence started at slavery. And we're told that. And we're not told that we come from prominence and we deserve prominence. Psychologically, that can really, really, really fuck us up, right? Yeah. And it has. And so we are turning the tides. We're shifting the paradigm. No more. We're using the words that are powerful to empower us. We're flowers, and we deserve our flowers. So we're going to get them by any means necessary, right? Even if it means to be rebellious. I'm here to speak life into you. They never gave us a chance to make it, a lot of us, right? Like, I probably was counted out. I can honestly say I was probably counted out a long time ago. Like a lot of us, right? We counted out, they count us out, right? But then we bloomed through the cracks of the concrete. I've always prided myself on being one of the brains that Tupac sparked to change the world. Because he said he wasn't going to change the world, and he knew that. But he guaranteed that he will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's how I feel. I don't feel that I will change the world per se, but I feel that it's my duty to spark the brain that will change the world. Kids are sponges. Kids are sponges. You agree? Yeah, kids are sponges. So what we do, our kids will follow. Whether we know it or not, they're watching. They are watching. And we often think that teenagers aren't paying attention. They're paying attention. They just won't tell us they're paying attention. They're going to give some pushback, but they are paying attention. Let me tell you, my son, so teenagers are on this, they be on some weird stuff. Like, I think we probably did it. I know we did it too. I'm not going to play the holier than thou card role, whatever you want to call it. Side note, colorism is stupid, right? The light skin, dark skin thing is stupid. Stupid. Stop it. It's dumb. All right. So anyway, see, everything goes in circles, right? So my son, I guess that's type day on, right? That's the type day on. So we're watching the NFL draft, and I'm talking about, I think, the quarterbacks. And I mentioned, oh yeah, two black quarterbacks drafted back to back. I've never seen that happen before, right? And then I'm like, oh, no, all these black quarterbacks being selected. And I'm like, yo, it's a shame that in 2023 that we're saying this, right? But anyway, one of the quarterbacks, matter of fact, he was like, nah, you're wrong. It ain't that many black quarterbacks because Bryce Young light skinned. I was like, ain't light skinned black? And he was like, nah. I was like, boy, you dumb. I said, so all right, so Malcolm X not black. And he was like, it was quiet for a second, right? We watching. Next thing you know, he pulls up a picture of Malcolm X on his phone. Here's the picture of Malcolm X he pulled up on his phone. I appreciate y'all for kicking it with me on this long overdue episode of Therapy Sessions with Ron Naylor Jr. I will be at Pop Up and Grow tomorrow and Sunday. That's in Waldorf, Maryland. 3000. The address is right here. The address is right there. Stop by. Come see me. I will have the shirts that everybody voted on. So this is the shirt that everybody voted on. This is the No Bad Energy shirt. All right, let me get up so y'all can see it. So I don't want y'all to have to strain your eye. So, No Bad Energy on the, let me make sure I don't burn it with the candle. Hold on, this light is really, all right, No Bad Energy on the chest, No Bad Energy on the back. Now, what makes this worth it? Listen, I gotta take a lint brush to it, but if you touch this is not regular vinyl. This is very, it's very soft and what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word for it. But the material, you had to see the material. It's an expensive material, okay? It's an expensive material. It's very soft. And it's like felt. It's like felt. It's like ostrich, you know what I'm saying? It's like 100% ostrich skin. I put a lot of work into creating everything you see, the labels, the packaging, the product itself. Like, I put a lot of work in. and it's enjoyable for me. It's creative therapy for me. So I just enjoy being able to create those things and then helping people help people, help people. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, anyway, appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace, love, and light. Therapy is something that we all need. It's something we can all use. It makes us all better. It forces us to look into the mirror and fix ourselves.
Turn on the camera, light the candle. Let's get